scrimmages with other teams, and so spectators.
We are
there. I'm just on the way to get their putting in. So that was a thought.
Well, that was not.
You think it's time to be out there.
Ready to begin?
Okay, well, welcome to the October 23rd meeting of the Riley County Commissioners. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, do we have any public comment this morning? Okay, oh, yes, Clancy.
Just real brief, Commissioners, I'd like to, and I'm disappointed you'll be, but I'd like to ask that you table the executive session at 11:10. Don't know when they're going to put it back on, but it won't be today. If you approve picking it up.
That's fine with me. Okay, with you too.
Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion to table the executive session scheduled for the city at 11.
Well, second.
It's been moved and seconded to table the executive session scheduled for this morning. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, there's nothing else. We'll go to commission comments. Commissioner McKinney.
Saturday morning, I attended the Riley County Republicans meeting. Kim Borchers, who's the Republican National Committee woman from Kansas, was a speaker. She had some good comments talking about elections and stuff. And then Senator Marshall showed up unannounced. He was in town for the game, I think. But he also spoke about some of the ongoing battles in DC. And then Saturday evening, I attended the K-State takedown of TCU for a dominant game. Sunday evening was the 4-H achievement celebration. He gave awards and honors and stuff for all the various 4-Hers in the last year, different things they've done. And they also gave some awards to some of the adults that help the kids, because there's some of them are parents and some of them don't have kids there anymore. They're still helping. So it was a nice thing to see all the kids and all the stuff they've done. That's all I got.
Okay, Commissioner Ford.
Yeah. Thursday and basically Friday morning, I spent in Olathe at the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce Board Retreat. Thursday morning, I started with an opening session, which gave a preview of the retreat schedule and goals for the 2-day event, a layout of how the chamber works in terms of operations and policy. Got a summary of work throughout the 2023 work session. Next came an ex officio's report over the lunch break. I provided one on behalf of Riley County by laying out some of the legislative items that we're working on, some of the other items of interest, both in the present as we go through 2023 and obviously into 2024. Next, we heard from Dr. Marshall Stewart. I'm not going to begin to try to list his title. It's the longest title, I think, in the history of mankind. Senior Vice President of, does everything. Anyway, they'll shorten that at some point in time, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, he went through the university strategic plan and the 105 plan in a little bit more depth. I think that presentation is actually up on the website. Has some different slides than the ones that we've seen. Really kind of breaks down how they came to that strategic plan and those goals, and really broke it down pretty well. It was an hour and a half long. So depth, yeah. Next, we got a full committee report for each of the chamber's committees. Lastly, we had a facilitated discussion from Jim Fram, who's a consultant and economic development project leaders. He's got a really good resume, but he's been retired for quite some time. They put together a list of projects that are being discussed, are currently underway, or just about ready to be done. Then we broke off into kind of breakout groups to discuss and dialogue about each one of those. And then each group kind of came back and kind of had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you want to call it, and then kind of went back through why they prioritized it the way they did, and should the chamber get involved with it and not get involved with it, so on and so forth. Very, very interesting. Business park development was up there, childcare was up there, housing was up there, Seco Park and the fairgrounds was up there on everybody's list. So just to kind of give you a plan on that. Our conversation was rather interesting as well. But it was interesting. Everybody had all those points together, maybe not prioritize 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but kind of the same conversations. I don't think it's probably much of a surprise. I think after that, that was pretty much it for Friday. We kind of had an evening reception down there at the hotel. It was kind of interesting. The hotel's computer system went down, so they couldn't print or give out digital keys for half of the hotel. So it made for an interesting time there. Fortunately, everybody does what's human nature. They migrated to, well, you can probably figure out where. So not also the bar became a place of interest, but it became a place of stacked luggage, which was fine. Later on, they had 6 different groups of people kind of break off into a couple of places, and we had dinner at Sullivan's, and then came back and what it was. Also got to watch my Jaguars when they played on Thursday night. I'm getting used to these odd times when they play. Just can we play on Sundays? Be good with it. Anyway, they did win. They beat the Saints, so that was good. Friday morning, we finished out the retreat with a breakfast presentation from the Kansas City Area Economic Development and Animal Health Corridor President, Tim Cowden. That's a long title, too. He discussed many of the different projects and developments taking place in the Kansas City metro area. Now we hear about some of the larger ones, but there's many other smaller ones that are taking place too. And he went through a pretty long list there. After that, that pretty much for us concluded. They had their regular board meeting and discussion there, which didn't include me. So I headed over to Leavenworth. I had an afternoon meeting with our state school board member, Danny Zuck. A good conversation there, and took some time to visit the grave sites of 2 of my 4 grandparents who are buried there. I hadn't been there I hadn't seen my grandmothers yet since she passed away in 17, so needed to do that. Took some pictures, did my thing there. Took a rather scenic back route through Leavenworth County, Douglas County, all the way down to southern Franklin County, where I spent the afternoon with some friends and had dinner, and then I headed back to Manhattan. Also saw that Manhattan High beat number 4, Wichita Northwest. Pretty tight game in Wichita. I think as long as we don't mess anything up, pretty much should secure probably the number 2 seed in the West, the Class 6A playoffs, I would assume. Hopefully we'll get our second shot at Washburn Rural. I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that. So Saturday morning, I too attended the monthly coffee talk that Commissioner McKinley spoke of. He summed that up pretty well. There was also a couple of local candidates on hand to speak and stuff on the upcoming local elections, which literally is just right around the corner. We're in the midst of advanced voting for it. So, and believe it or not. So, and then Saturday night, I attended the K-State TCU game. Saw the Wildcats easily dispose of the Horned Frogs, and it's amazing to me when you consider, they were national runner-up last year. I don't know if they were just that bad or we finally figured something out or a little bit of both. I don't know. I was impressed with the defense. I hope we keep that up. I don't know what to think about this 2 quarterback system platoon. I got to think we keep that up at least through Texas. Probably makes sense, but I guess if it works, it works. Wins are wins at this particular point in time. And so it is what it is. So I'm happy. It was a good night. I had phone issues. Just like 2 months ago, my screen froze up in the midst of the game. I took an Uber to the game because the buddy I was supposed to go with, he had tickets. And then everybody, I guess, got sick in the house and said, here, just take them. So I ended up taking an Uber to the game. I thought I'd take an Uber back home. Phone froze up, so that didn't work out. So I ended up walking home.
Old fashioned Uber.
Yeah, old fashioned Uber. The Fred Flintstone Uber. Yeah. It's all right. Lived over in the Northview area. It's not that big of a deal. In fact, I got to thinking about it. It was actually quicker. It really was.
Yeah.
The way they got the sidewalk system worked out now, it's really quicker because you have to go all the way down and up and back around, or all the way up and back and around with that. So, and let's face it, I can use the exercise, so it's all good.
And where'd you get home, about midnight?
No, I left,
Pretty quick.
yeah, I left with about 5 minutes still left in the game and kind of beat out some of the traffic because, I mean, let's face it, the score was, I mean, the game was not in doubt at that
They
particular
couldn't
time.
get
Yeah.
there.
I headed over to a tailgate real quick and hung out for a little bit and then hit the pavement, literally. No, it was good. It was good. Not a big deal. Sunday evening, I too attended the Achievement Award celebration. It's amazing every year to see how well attended that is. I mean, I know sometimes it's the same group of people. Sometimes it's the same kids. They're just getting a year older. Everybody's stepping them through. But when you hear all the stuff they do throughout the year and how much effort and passion that they put into it, I mean, all the awards and stuff they earn it's totally worth it. So, and props to the farmhouse too for janitor. I kind of like that little taco bar setups and things they have. So. Lastly, I do have a clarification I need to make this morning and pertains to last week's law board meeting. As we were discussing the Genesis Health Club contract, I did make mention that they were behind and had not paid their second half tax payment when actually that was not accurate. They actually had made that payment on September 21st.
Well, they part of it and then the rest was just paid off.
Right. And that was the interest part of it, correct? Okay. I just feel in the whole conversation of things to just be open and accurate about that. And I take responsibility for that because I probably should have reached out and asked about that before going into the meeting. And I wasn't up to date on that. So either should have been up to date on it, should have either gotten that information or sent that information out. And I did not do that. But be that as it may, my feelings are still the same about the scenario, taxes paid or not. And I've been pretty clear about that. So, but I did want to mention that they had paid that at the time. And I'll take responsibility for that error. So, and with that, that's all I've got this morning.
Okay. Well, mine's not as lengthy, I don't think, today. Thursday afternoon, I met my computer guy at the house and got the Windows 11 issues worked out. So I'm back on the road with that. And then I had an appointment with my doctor and got an RSD shot. And that kind of laid me up a little bit. I had some reaction to it, but I don't know if it was that or just exhaustion. I don't know. But anyway. Friday, spent most of the afternoon in the office going over today's meeting agenda, reviewing emails, and I did visit with county appraiser, the BOCC hearings and other department issues. I also met with Sherry Woodard regarding the Keats project. We got preliminary acceptance of the grant application with USDA, but it will be pending until we get further along with the process. And then a letter we sent out to the homeowner, one of the property owners in Keats, that hadn't responded to my phone calls. Saturday, spent some time doing household chores and working on cleaning out, rearranging my home office. I totally redid. And then that evening, attended the K-State Texas TCU game. It was a great night for football. Outcome was great for the Cats. It was a little chilly in the stadium, especially in an evening game. So I'm glad the one coming up Saturdays and in the daytime for a change.
You haven't looked at the weather forecast.
Well, yeah, I've heard about that, but you never know about weather. So just have to take the ponchos just in case. Let's see. Sunday afternoon, I had some friends over to help put together a new exercise bike that I got for the house. That's why I was cleaning out the office. But we got to the very end to put final console on it, and a part was missing. So to kind of stop and couldn't finish, and it has to be ordered for the manufacturer. So that kind of was, kind of threw me off. And, we spent a lot of time. It's harder to put those things together than you think. So I totally spaced out going to the 4-H thing because I looked at my schedule after all that was over and went, oh no, I missed it. So I'm sorry I wasn't there. But Sunday evenings are kind of tough. I didn't look at my calendar. So, that's all I've got.
Sounds good. Ready for business? We'll announce that Commissioner McKinley was a grand prize winner of last week's game, so. First order of business, commissioners, need a motion to approve order to credit a allowed claim to delinquent personal property taxes, penalties and interest for Jerry Hafner.
What is this?
Yeah. I think I was wondering.
Yeah, go ahead and explain.
Like seeing it.
I can
I
explain.
don't remember what this is.
We don't have them very often. There is a statute that, if a vendor who does business with the county owes either personal property or real estate taxes, that payment can be withheld to pay the taxes first, and then they'll get, and in this particular case, the amount of the payment that we owe the vendor is more than the taxes, so we'll get our tax and interest and then they'll get the balance, but
Okay.
the commissioners have to approve this withhold payment. Yeah, I don't know if this board has had one. They don't happen very often.
Yeah, we have.
I knew that was, I'd heard that before. I knew that was one of the rules, but I didn't. In reading this, I didn't figure out that's what this was.
We just haven't had one to where there was still going to be an actual
That is
payment.
correct.
like that.
That is correct.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the difference.
No,
Okay.
So we're actually going to be collecting the $529.
We're collecting the 1,135.66, and then the balance of 529.34 goes to the vendor.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't following that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so what is the motion then?
Motion to approve the order to credit allowed claim to delinquent personal property taxes, penalties and interest for Jerry Hafner.
Okay. We'll make that motion.
Second.
So moved and seconded to sign the order to credit for credit allowed to claim for the delinquent taxes for Jerry Hafner. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair, please sign. Thank you, Shiloh. Yep, that's the one. Yep, thank you. Next, need a motion to approve letter of support for a KDOT application for $10,000 operating grant for transportation assistance and 2 replacement accessible buses for July 1, 2024, June 30, 2025 for Big Lakes Developmental Center.
Move to approve the letter of support for a KDOT application for a $10,000 operating grant for transportation system for Big Lakes Development Center.
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the letter of support for a KDOT application for $10,000 for the Big Lakes Development Center accessible buses. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All 3 sign, please. Leave us. Ready for the last business item, Commissioner? Last business item, Commissioner, in your packet here is the agreement with Bruce McMillan Architects regarding the 4th floor renovation project for the clerk/election space, a separate election space. This is not to exceed $10,000 for the scope of the project, the concept, design, and budget estimates for improvements. Do want the commissioners to know for this entire project, the development of the entire plan, there will be additional fees if we go on down the road and proceed on this project to completion. But what I also need to make the board aware of, which we knew was up there, it's just been a while since any of us have been up there. I know the commissioners have toured it, but you've seen that We walked up in there and we've seen that space and that nice bright yellow plastic chute that's coming from the
Yeah.
ceiling. That's not standard
Mhm.
infrastructure. That's because there's a water leak that goes into the trash can.
Mhm.
And the other vent leaks as well. And so what Bruce is recommending, I think John and Bruce and John, chime in if I get anything wrong here, agreed. We walked up on the roof. It's those two drains that are leaking. Of course, the roof will need to be patched in that area. It doesn't look bad. It looks like it might be, I don't know, it might be the drain itself that's leaking underneath there, but it is leaking. And then, of course, when you have water infiltration, there's cracks in the ceiling that need to be inspected too by a structural engineer. The point is, it isn't part of this project, but it is something that the county would have had to address sooner or later unless you want the building to deteriorate anyway. So it's not in the scope of this. So John's concern, of course, is he doesn't have enough funding in county building fund. As I report to commissioners, I expect that's one we'll probably do a budget amendment on anyway. So it would be, I think John said he'd be comfortable if, in the CIP or somewhere else, the commissioners would, set aside like 100,000 to investigate, remediate anything we have to do there. We know the roof needs patched. It's just if there's a bigger issue with that. And the one other thing, there's a little bit, just like right behind where John is, there's some of that in a couple spots of the brick to see how water infiltration or moisture infiltration getting on just a couple spots on the walls. And so that's all separate of this project, but an additional, so it would be additional cost based on what I presented to the commissioners. But I think John agrees and Bruce agrees, if we're going to be tenants of this building for some time, the longer you let those things go on, Commissioner McKinnon knows that this deteriorates even worse. So just want to be honest and upfront with everything that we witnessed up there last week.
Rich, I wanted to comment on that. I've been up there quite a few times looking around and been really interested in that area. The people that were there before had said that they had talked to Public Works and they were, that those had been leaking for some time and that the roof had been replaced and it still had been leaking even after that. So I don't know if we can go back to the roofer and talk to that. I don't know how long ago that was, but
Before much.
yeah.
Yeah, we talked,
So,
we had all that
we talked
discussions.
about
As I said, next time, let's tell them not to just look at it, but fix it this time.
Fix it.
The roof doesn't look, I don't think that old up there. There's one section up there where they redid the roof. It's not necessarily in this area where it's kind of puckling and bubbling, which isn't good, as you know, Commissioner, on those roofs. The one drain in the center, the big drain that's got the nice lovely yellow chute, that roof actually looks pretty tight, but there's something down below there. But there's another section that is going to go up that you might want to replace it.
But that roofs, we leak over here and it runs through those different layers and comes out somewhere else. I've chased those before.
But yeah.
Yeah. So, but it really didn't look bad all around the drains. It didn't look bad. And nowhere else could you see any cracks or anything. There was bubbling in one section, but so there will be additional cost to investigate and then remediate that. But as I said, in my opinion, if it was my building, it needed to be done regardless of this project. So I just want to be honest and upfront before you allow us to proceed with this. And John and Bruce, want to add anything?
I've been up there after big rains and I've not seen a whole lot of water that's come in, but who knows? Depends on the direction it's coming from. Any discussion?
Yeah, roof is an important thing.
I think the
Once the
space,
water gets in, everything gets better.
yeah, I think the space is a good space.
Space, yeah, but it's going to be able to use that space.
And it's very scenic on the top of that building there, looking around the area. It is high enough and very scenic to
Yeah,
see.
maybe a
city
patio up
through
there would be nice for
Yeah.
employees.
Put a break room up on the.
Yeah, on the top, yeah.
Yeah.
I know the bathrooms need to be redone and maybe a break room
It's not even functional as it is.
Apparently it does work.
works.
We had a couple of them from downstairs come up and use it the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the one does the urinal is like taped off and not usable, but yeah.
There's water up there.
There is. Hot water heater is not functional. It's got its own little small hot water heater, so.
We do have consultants to help us with the structural issue, as was mentioned, as well as converting the restroom to 88 units.
Mm.
So this,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty tight in there. Okay. Motion. Is it the
Contract.
contract with,
Yeah, the concept, design and budget estimate for the improvements to the fourth floor of the Riley County Plaza East Office Building from Bruce McMillan. That motion.
oh my God.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the contract with McMillan and Associates for the fourth floor renovation, design and project and fourth floor renovation. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate it. Any changes to the minutes, commissioners? Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks.
well, I actually got a signature copy.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys too.
Thanks, John.
I will be back.
Changes to the minutes, commissioners?
I didn't see anything, did you?
I don't remember the meeting. Probably because I was driving. Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the minutes as written from the October 19th meeting of the Riley County Commission.
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the October 19th meeting as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any items for next week's press conference, commissioners? Tentative agendas look okay.
That's what I looked on the 30th, and it said something about ending at 7:30 or ending at 7. Oh, that's the all good one.
Yeah, it got me too, looking at that time. I was like, oh.
Well, on the 30th, are we going, Russell Stuckey said he couldn't be there.
Yeah, he called me and I suggested he call you to.
Yeah,
I just said if he can't be there, he can't be there. There's nothing we can really do. He's got to.
Send John or Doug.
So do we need to move that spot up or put somebody else in there?
We'll condense it. Yeah, we'll definitely condense it once he cancels or
Somebody else could come, yeah.
Send John or Doug.
Russell will be here
Oh,
earlier. I mean, later
that's
today.
really-
So yeah, just have him sign someone else up.
Of course, they may, maybe something they're all at.
Yeah, I don't know. He'll know.
Storm spotter recruitment,
You know,
firefighter.
to be honest with you,
Maybe Michelle could make a report since it's
I'd probably be Lori.
Lori.
Yeah, probably.
oh, you know, playing that it's a part with the kite that crashed Saturday morning.
Was that was that what that was? It wasn't a regular.
He went a plane. It's one of, I say, it looks like the go-kart with a big panel.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, is that what crashed?
Yeah, that's what crashed there.
Yeah,
And
70-some-year-old and 80-some-year-old
I
guy?
know both of them.
I didn't know the 80, I knew the 70, I was reading about something, wait a minute. Ed?
Yeah.
I've known that for years.
Who was it?
Sounds like Ed Gifford. And then electrician from,
AAA electric.
yeah, I was trying to remember, it's been years. I worked for the first
What's
summer.
your
Oh, did you?
Way back in the day, 25 years or so ago.
I hired him as a subcontractor 40 years ago.
Sounds about right. Yep. Work around town and Council Grove High School first again, summer of 90. Well, that's all I need to say. Summer of 90 something. It doesn't really matter after that. First got the alert and made a phone call about it Saturday morning. It was informed me it was a small commuter plane. So I thought it was must be 1 or 2 to 3 people, but
Yeah, the way they reported it on the radio this morning was like a regular plane. They didn't say it was.
That was unfortunately a busy area this weekend.
I know exactly. Yeah. And plus game day traffic in right around that same
I wonder
time.
what happened there, single car accident.
Yeah, the other one, he said, that he just went off the road.
I guarantee you, I know what happened.
And I wondered. Yeah.
Why do people drive off the road just unintentionally? They're not paying attention.
Yeah, this isn't, it's one of those type. This is a standard. It isn't necessarily there. It's one of those that has the
Yeah.
flat parachute thing. I've seen him out there flying around.
So I was wanting to go up in it.
But,
Never did.
but also it's got a parachute, so it's not like it's just gonna, but he said the
More like a
equipment,
glider.
the motor went out.
Ready for Robin, commissioners?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Robin, are you ready?
Sorry, we were just talking. Renee,
Good morning.
you're here.
Even though you're late.
Wow. No, I'm on time, although I guess according to the clock, I'm a few minutes late. According to this, I'm 1 minute late. No, Clancy always leaves when I take the mic.
That's impressive. They not really like much you're late according to the law.
Well,
He must have misread the agenda.
it doesn't say 9:01, no, I guess it doesn't. No, that clock's fast.
Yeah.
But anyway, good morning.
Good morning, Robin.
Good to see you all.
I'm glad to stay.
Even Clancy.
I'm really glad to stay.
Thanks. It was.
Yes, yes. No, I remember who he is, even though I'm told. So, good morning. It's good to be here. With all of the proclamations we've had here recently, it seems like I've been seeing a lot of you. But this is our regular every other month report. I do have some things to call attention to just regarding Medicaid. I've been talking for months about the unwinding of Medicaid due to the end of the COVID pandemic. KDHE reported at the association meeting last week, at the Association of Community Mental Health Centers of Kansas, that CMS issued some feedback, and apparently this went across the nation. There were some inappropriate disenrollments that especially affected children and then some others. In fact, nearly 500,000 children across the nation were inappropriately disenrolled from Medicaid. If you remember, folks whose eligibility expired between March 31st of 2023 and then July 31st of 2024 were needing to re-enroll. In Kansas, what that meant was that there were about 10,000, primarily children, but also some adults, who lost their Medicaid coverage during April and May, whose CMS, or the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, have instructed KDHE to re-enroll without, at least at that point, without any additional paperwork required on the part of those children or their families. So KDHE is then taking a look at what their processes are to make sure that people who are eligible aren't disenrolled inappropriately. Because of course that means then that not only do they not have health insurance, but it means that any healthcare providers who see them aren't going to get paid for the services that they deliver. And that of course is a concern. And I think it's probably a little bit of a stretch to tie Medicaid expansion to every health system failure, but you might be aware that I believe it was the Harrington Hospital closed down. It seems like it's been a couple weeks ago now. I read about that just recently. And again, like I said, I think it is a stretch to say that every time a hospital or a healthcare institution closes down, it's because of the failure to expand Medicaid. But I do believe strongly that failure to expand Medicaid has a piece of that. My CFO talks
he's coined a phrase, death by 1,000 paper cuts. And I think there's a whole lot of truth to that. I kind of wish I'd made it up. But I do think that sometimes there are just so many, whether they are little things or bigger things, that just keep on and keep on and keep on. And it can be what brings down institutions. So I think we just need to continue to really keep our eye on that and be considering what is it that we need to do to give Kansas a strong and healthy health system. There was a new CCBHC bill introduced in the U.S. Senate. You remember the Kansas legislature passed the CCBHC bill into effect a year ago, and all community mental health centers in the state of Kansas will become certified community behavioral health clinics within the next year or so. The U.S. Senate passed legislation that would amend the Social Security Act and the Public Health Services Act to permanently authorize certified community behavioral health clinics. And then what that act would do is it would also establish a federal definition of CCBHCs that would then be put into law and create the infrastructure that was necessary at the federal level for that to be a long-term model throughout our country. There's bipartisan support. The CCBHC model is seen as a model to address the mental health and substance use crisis that we're facing in our nation. And a big piece of that is by expanding access to care through the CMHC system. State of Kansas recently received a federal grant for its CCBHC initiatives. Under that grant, it increases or it accelerates the timeline of the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services to get all of the community mental health centers certified as CCBHCs by July 1st. And so if you recall, Pawnee became provisionally certified July 1st of this year. Initially, it looked like we were going to have until January 1st of 2025, but with the state of Kansas receiving a federal grant, they are accelerating the speed at which they want to get all of the community mental health centers up and certified as CCBHCs. So we're probably looking at a 12-month timeline rather than an 18-month timeline, with the goal being to have things fully certifiable by July 1st of 2024. Locally, we received our notice of relicensure through KDADS. Of course, we will be certified, or we are certified provisionally as a certified community behavioral health clinic. We are licensed as a substance use disorder treatment facility, and we are also licensed as a community mental health center. We received our relicensure on September 28th. I'm delighted to say there were no corrective actions required on our part. And so our this current license will be effective through September 30th of 2025. So that was a wonderful accomplishment for us. I thought I might also just give a little update on the Mental Health Summit and, assessments that are happening here in our community. Of course, on September 7th, the Riley County Mental Health Task Force, with the cooperation of the Riley County Police Department and Pawnee Mental Health, held a mental health summit at the Riley County Public Works office or building. So we, of course, thank you for that. And then I had an opportunity to present at a high level the findings of that mental health summit to the intergovernmental meeting on September 25th. And so I gave a brief presentation to that group at that time. And then the Flint Hills Wellness Coalition and the Riley County Health Department held a local mental health assessment meeting on October 10th, where they continued to flesh out the issues regarding mental health and access to services in our community. Those bodies, the Riley County Mental Health Task Force, Flint Hills Wellness Coalition, Riley County Health Department, will be working together to put together a long-term kind of strategy for Riley County. and for how we can address the mental health issues that we have in our community. I might mention that the Raleigh County Mental Health Task Force's next meeting, which is November 2nd, which is just that next week, is going to be at the Raleigh County Police Department. We've been invited by the police department to tour the jail. And so, of course, the jail is seeing a big impact of mentally ill individuals who are there. And it's had, and I probably shouldn't even begin to talk about it. Director Pete can talk about it much more eloquently than I can. But let's just say that mental illness in the jail population is a significant issue. Significant enough that we've been invited as a mental health task force to tour the jail to see firsthand what the impact of mental illness is within the jail. So that will be happening on November 2nd at 4 o'clock, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to experience that. Pawnee Mental Health had its annual fundraising event, Driving the Dream, on October 12th. This year's event was a huge success. In fact, we doubled our contributions from last year. And so I think anytime you can in 1 year double the charitable contributions that are made to an organization, I think that is really remarkable. And it does say something about just the recognition of the needs of providing mental health services in our community. I do want to call out and give a special thanks to our major sponsors who included VHS Construction, Stormont Vale Health, Steel and Pipe, UMB, Phil Howe, James and Terry Brown, Blaine and Cindy Sloan, and Lee and Jackie Borg. We also really had an amazing volunteer committee made up of Cindy Sloan, Ann Brown, and Teresa Beaver Wallpower. And then a number of volunteers who worked with them who helped us pull together what was really a successful event. And so we're very grateful to the community for that and for their contributions. We also coming up, and this will be an event that I want people to get on their calendars, is that we have a Survivors of Suicide Loss event. The Survivors of Suicide Loss is recognized the Saturday before Thanksgiving every year. And so we've been holding a Survivor of Suicide Loss events for years now. So this year's event will be on Saturday, November 18th from 10 to 12. We'll be offering on-site events in Manhattan, Junction City, and Concordia. And then we'll also be making it available by Zoom for individuals who can't participate in an on-site location, but who want to attend them nonetheless. So let me just ask if you have any questions for me today. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Thanks.
Next, we have Director Brian Feet up 9:15, about 2 minutes. How's Brian doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
How are you?
All right. Great. Did you get that rain this morning?
Yeah. At 6:30.
I don't know where that came from.
Just rumble and rumble and
Yeah.
rumble.
I got it.
First you hear rumbles and you think it's just
Yeah.
40, and then well, I think it's got a little bit of rain, but for 5 minutes maybe.
That poured hard when it came
Yeah,
down.
it came down. It's not long.
Mm-mm. Glad they got my corn cut last night.
Oh,
Unfortunately, that's going to ruin their plans for cutting the rest of their corn today, but got mine out of the fields.
We got just enough of a drizzle that Basically, I gotta wash the car. That's about it.
I haven't washed my car for a while because I knew this rain was coming this week, so.
Probably do the same thing.
Of course, last weekend I washed it, we got that irritating little sprinkle that day.
Yes, that's about what we got this morning.
Yeah, we just got.
It's like either don't rain at all or please, one or the other. Do what we're used to.
Ready for Director Pete?
Sure.
Good morning, members of the county commission, county commissioner, members of the county commission, Clancy, Rich, Brian, Pete with the Riley County Police Department. As far as updates, so currently we are on track for all the part 1, part 2 indicators, with the exception of 2 being below the 5-year averages. The 2 I believe that we're looking at going higher, I think are the larceny and I think DUIs, if I remember correctly. But so far, so good. Everything's on track, knock on wood. The Riley County Police Department is doing well as far as our staffing levels for the sworn. We are right at the average that we've normally been, to the point that we're not suffering as much as other jurisdictions or agencies across the state or the country. With our corrections, we have not hemorrhaged, as well as bringing folks in. Again, it's still a slow trickle, but that's a national and a statewide issue that we're seeing. I think that the morale has gone up, and that folks are seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. So I'd like to report that the health of the organization, I believe, is extraordinarily strong and doing well. But looking forward at some of the issues that I'm focusing on now that I've been here for roughly 10 months and kind of getting my feet on the ground. And one of the issues, of course, is the level of more violent related crimes within the county. So for example, we just had Tramell Montgomery case that has just happened here, which he was found guilty after the homicide shooting that occurred in Aggieville 2 years ago. And then just this weekend, we had 3 individuals who were shot at a party. One of them being a 16-year-old out of Wichita, the other 2 being 19 years of age. So we're looking at how these things are related. Then there was also another incident that happened at a party where a lot of K-State students were at, that there was a firearm involved. No one was shot. The weapon was brandished, I believe, but no one was shot. RCPD has all 3 individuals who were involved in that within custody. So that's, again, it's one of those alarming trends that we're seeing, and we've seen for a long time throughout the country. Manhattan, of course, is susceptible to it, just like every other place. But just because it's a trend doesn't mean it's a trend we have to accept. And we don't just roll with the flow on that one. We're going to go down and we're going to have those experiences. We're going to go down there, go down kicking and screaming as far as that's concerned. So what the Riley County Police Department will be doing within the next few months is working on a crime prevention plan. And the crime prevention plan just talks about it just provides a roadmap outline of what the department plans to do to address the issues of crime that are happening within the county. To do that, we need to know exactly what we face. So the Riley County Police Department does have a strengths, weaknesses, and a SWOT analysis that helps us to develop what our strategic goals are moving forward. I want to up the level on that one by working on a criminal threat assessment, which is a more in-depth document that would help us to see the levels of crime that are happening, the specifics of crime that are happening, and maybe in some areas try to predict where we need to focus some of our resources from. So within the coming months, we'll be looking at producing a criminal threat assessment, using that criminal threat assessment as the foundation for the crime prevention program. And that crime prevention program will focus on 3 elements as far as crime is going to happen. It's going to be prevention, proactivity, response, accountability, and competency. And the 4th will be reduction. So those will be the 4 areas that the department would look at in how we address crime within the community. And it's going to be like everything else. We are an interdependent society. So this is going to be huge, with a huge reliance on stakeholders within the community in making this, keeping this this county safe. Because it is a very, very good safe county, but when these things happen, those levels of concern pop up for all of us. And we want to make sure that crime is low, but just as importantly is the perception of crime is low. So moving forward, again, this is in the early stages. This is in my thought and development plan stages right now that I'll be working with senior staff, with RCPD and accomplishing. And with that being said, I stand ready for any questions that the commission may have of me.
The gears are turning, but I'm not coming up with anything just yet. I gotta think there's some intercorrelations with this to other things that we're working on too, and at some point in time, they all got to tie in. It's just maybe it's hard to figure since we're just starting. I mean,
Yes,
substance abuse, fentanyl lead to these type of bad outcomes, and of course, all those bad outcomes lead to things that we're seeing in corrections because it's going to add to people being in correction. So they're all intercorrelatable. I don't know if that's a word or not. If not, trademark. So, you know, as all these groups and organizations and task force, you know, more clearly to put data and stuff together, I think it's important that they're at least communicating together as well.
Yes, that's going to be the huge component of the reduction and the prevention and the proactivity part of it. Because again, that if we see these things before they gel into something tangible that happens into a release valve, there's a cost reduction savings, not to mention the life and the safety aspect of it, but there are a whole bunch of different responsibility levels that we have to it. So yes, it is just there's a lot of data that's out there. We have a lot of the data. You all, of course, are aware of a lot of the data, but as I want to make sure that it's compiled in a singular document that we'll all be able to look at to figure out what those strategic steps are going to be going next. And when I also talk about the criminal threat assessment, I'm not sure if anyone has seen the 60 Minutes presentation that happened last night, in which the Five Eyes, or the intelligence chiefs from the major countries of the US speaking organizations that came out. Director Ray from the FBI was one on there, but they talked about the issues of targeting, whether it be terrorism or whether it be intellectual property of the United States. And this is, that culminated into the most recent presentation was last night on 60 Minutes, but this is something that the government has been talking about for quite a long time. And for those who may not think that Riley County, and I don't want to play boogeyman or scare anything like that, but I just want to be real with what it is that Riley County is a great place. It's uniquely situated, but we do have intellectual property here. We do have in Bath, that we are a huge part of providing health and sustenance to not only Kansas, but to the entire country. In a lot of cases, exporting agricultural work out to the fields. So that is something else that I consider a critical infrastructure. And how does the Riley County Police Department work with our farmers to protect them, to protect their crops from anything they may have, and whether it's biological or agricultural terrorism. So we have to keep those different things in mind as we develop a criminal threat assessment and as we develop this crime prevention program.
Okay. Let's think of it.
And so what the hope is on that one is the law board will be seeing from us here a request to approve a policy that talks about the criminal threat assessment. With that criminal threat assessment, at the end of it, we'll have two different versions. One will be a law enforcement sensitive, the other one will be an unclassified for official use only. In those different types of cases, I think that this is viable information that our community leaders, the city mayors, the county commission, the city commissions need to know. So at those particular points in time, I'll have to work with Clancy and with other attorneys to see how I could bring about a joint presentation to present this information to all of our elected officials within the county at one time, or whether I have to do it in different increments first. But that'll be something we'll be working on once that criminal threat assessment is done. And I hope to have that completed here within the next 3 months.
Okay, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Have a good day. Next commissioner press conference at 9:30.
No, I appreciate. Sure.
So you're in the Halloween spirit?
Of course.
No, I don't know that I have a Halloween tie. I saw that and I was thinking,
I think I may just have the one.
I don't know.
Then I got one other that qualifies.
I don't know that I do.
I never think of the holiday ties until it's too late to get.
I usually do that even on Christmas.
I always make plans. You know, that would be a great time this summer to buy a couple. When they're
Yeah.
cheap.
Uh-huh. That's yeah, that's for sure. That's what I need to do. Plan ahead.
For some reason, it just doesn't connect for ties.
Yeah, they're not always high on my list anyway. It's just to do.
Yeah.
Especially the price of some of them. Yeesh.
It's pretty incredible.
How'd your house project go?
Really good.
Good.
From what I can tell. And it was good. They did good work. Got it done fast. No complaints. Good morning. How are you, Cliff? Good.
So did you plan it right? You know, with people coming in and out of your house to be a good time for cats to escape and it not be your fault.
Thought about it. They were working on the storm door.
On the what?
They were actually rehanging the storm door.
Uh-huh.
And actually turning it upside down because when it was installed a few years ago, they brought the wrong door.
Mhm.
I mean, they brought the right door, but the opening on the wrong side. So I've had to, now I'm in the habit of reaching for the wrong side to open the door, but needed to be done. And so the door was open from time to time. It would have been a great time.
It's amazing on those habits, you know, when my wife and I built our house and, you know, just in our kitchen, you know, we had put plastic bags in one place and pot holders in another, same drawer. And we got so used to it and we thought, we don't like that. So we switched them. 20 years later, we're still going to the wrong drawer. We found ourselves initially. It's like, that frustrates me so much.
We managed to do the same thing in the utility room when we replaced either the washer or dryer. And we didn't think to make sure the doors don't. So now you have to, and we finally got that fixed. And now I'm still reaching for the wrong side of the dryer.
Or it looks like you give me a dictator. That's a scary thought.
It's frightening.
Where is everybody?
Commissioner McKinley, I think John or conferencing chairs in there.
You don't even have to invite her, just exercise your unlimited authority.
Yeah, 9:30. Three commissioners. Good morning, Commissioner Rich Barber, Riley County Clerk. I want to remind everyone that advanced voting is currently taking place on the second floor of the courthouse office building. It is open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Hours will also be held on Saturday, November 4th, 8 a.m. to noon, and also Monday, November 6th, 8 a.m. to noon. So far, we've, as of Friday, had 166 people attend advanced voting in person. We've also mailed out 759 ballots by mail applications that we've had received. So those are well on their way. Actually received a few back already. Remind everyone, election day is November 7th. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Encourage everyone to go out there. Riley County website has a ton of information on elections. Great place to pull up your sample ballot. I always encourage people to review their sample ballot. That way to go into the election knowing what they'll be voting on. A lot of people on these off years with the city school election don't realize what issues are on the ballot. So it's just city candidate positions and also school board positions. And that way you know which candidates you need to choose between for the various positions. And it's also a good place to pull up your polling place location. If you don't participate in advanced voting, it has a map to your polling place, which is very helpful as well. And encourage people to call into our office if they have any questions, but there is a lot of good information out there. Last day to apply for a ballot by mail is October 31st. And so hope to see good participation rate. Unfortunately, these are the lowest participated elections, which has never made sense to me since these are the ones that we get to see the outcomes of their work every day. It's just a participation rate should be opposite of what they are, but it never has transpired that way. Any questions, commissioners, for the election?
Any early numbers so far?
Huh?
Any early numbers so far turnout?
Yeah, 166.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, 166 in person, and we have mailed out 759. Received 3 of those back already by mail. Yeah. So, any questions?
Nope.
No. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, you have Corey Meyer at 9:35. Hi, Amanda, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Corey?
Good morning, Commission. Corey Meyer, ITGIS Director. Last week we had a vacancy in our office, John Christie. So I am here to ask to Commission for approval to fill that open position. I'm dry this morning, my request. That's the way it is. No. Position we've had filled for years. We've cut 2 positions over the last 3 years. So this be one we can't be without the way our numbers are and the amount of work going on in the county.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Okay, I'll go ahead then and make a motion to proceed to refill the position of infotech specialist.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the refill of the infotech specialist position. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Clark. All 3 signed, please. Commissioners, you have Amanda Webb at 9:40. Let me come up with it. Supposed to be a warm one today.
We've been to the 80s again.
Huh?
The 80s.
Might be fun. It's the last of those days, though.
Thank goodness. Let's hope.
It's be only like 51 on Saturday. 25 or something Sunday morning.
That's why I had to get that house painted on Saturday. I knew cold weather and rain was coming. And good paint is not inexpensive.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Just the quartz, like $40.
That's. We sprayed $1,400 worth of paint on Saturday.
What are you painting?
A house.
The whole house?
Mhm.
Oh. Goodness.
And that was at the frequent flyer discount rate.
Or frequent sprayer. Just see what I did there. I'm here all morning. Okay, good.
And plus on top of that, there was usually run a sprayer. All sprayers were in for repair. All of a sudden I had to find a sprayer to go buy. Oh, so I get to buy a sprayer.
I seen somebody driving around yesterday. They had 4 of them. They had 4 of them things in the back of their truck. I'm wondering where in the world did they go?
Now you're not correct.
Yeah, not for a while. Those things they break down so easily. You know, you gotta clean them so well. I've had one before and I used to do that. But I didn't have the choice, so I just go buy one. I had to get it done on Saturday. Ready for Amanda?
Yeah. So it was 45, it's 40, yes.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Amanda Webb, Planning Director. I am here with the monthly report for our comprehensive plan update, and I'm very excited to say there's been a lot happening. So I'm really happy about that. So I want to share some different things with you folks and share some concerning questions you might have. So community meetings, we have 11 meetings scheduled all around the county. I included the list there. You can see the date, the time, the location, and the corresponding township. So how this is working, so we can make sure we notify pretty much everybody in unincorporated Riley County, because we're doing it by township. So when you see number 1 up there, we had the Ashland Community Center on September 26th, and it says Township Ashland. We mailed every address in Ashland Township a little notification postcard 2 weeks in advance of this meeting, and so they were as aware as possible that these meetings are happening. And that's how we're doing it. Again, if you look down the list, you see the different township names. There's one where from a few different ones, because I guess they're a pretty small population. But all of them will receive their notification postcard about 2 weeks in advance of their corresponding meeting, if you will. Anybody can go to any meeting, say, you know, Manhattan Township is tonight, but maybe they can't make it tonight, but they can make it Thursday. More than welcome. The content at this and how we're running these are the same. So people are welcome to go to any meeting that works for them. They don't have to just go to the corresponding township one. So just want to make sure to let folks know that. So when I wrote this report last week, we had held 3. We've now held 4 in Ashland, Bala, Wildcat, and Grant townships. We have 3 this week. For Manhattan Township, Ogden Township, and Zeendale. Let's see, so how we're doing these meetings is we have a PowerPoint presentation that we go through that kind of gives background about what is comprehensive planning, what does it do, why is it important. We talk about Vision 2025, which is our current comprehensive plan, how we got there, the public participation process, and all the process that went into creating our current comprehensive plan, and then the several goals that are already identified in that plan. We kind of go through what those are and some of the action items that have been accomplished in the 14 years since Vision 2025 was adopted in 2009. And then we go into what we're doing now, why we're doing it. That's of course important to let people know why we're doing what we're doing, why we're doing the update. And then how we're doing the update, public participation, the survey, community meetings, the committee, all of that sort of stuff, and just making sure people are aware of it, how they can get involved, how they can provide comments, etc. So we have a PowerPoint we go through, answering any questions, of course, as we go through. And then we kind of have a little interactive exercise at the end where I ask a series of 5 questions to the group, and you can see them listed in your report there. Scroll down. So the intent was, so we give everybody note cards we have here, we give them several in pencils and whatnot. And we just kind of let people fill them out how they want to. If they want to do multiple cards, 1 question each card, that's perfectly fine. Others just use 1 or 2 cards and label, 1, 2, 3, that kind of thing. And then what I'm doing is we ask 1 question per time. I guess you do 1 question at a time, I should say. And then I give people a couple minutes to write down their answers on the cards if they want to. And then I ask for anybody who wants to share. I don't require anybody to share, but if it would be, nice for people to share, and most do. We at least have a handful with every question, because the idea of the hope is that generates some conversation amongst the group. They're hearing what their neighbor or their whoever is saying, and I didn't think about that, and they can respond and kind of have a little bit of discussion, if you will. I don't necessarily want it to go on and on and on, and it really hasn't, honestly. It's been interesting to see the different townships. Some have very little conversation amongst themselves, and others have a lot more, just kind of probably depending on who's in the audience and kind of what's going on for them. But we've received a lot of really good input from these meetings, input from these folks. I have the Ashland, Bala, and Wildcat outlined here. So you can see how many postcards were mailed for each of those 3 meetings, how many addresses there were. Of course, if there were duplicate addresses, we only sent 1, of course. So, and then you can see how many people were in attendance versus how many postcards we sent out. And then I don't necessarily need to read them unless you want me to, but I just kind of included a snippet of just a few different comments. Again, I just picked them up randomly of some of the different comments on these cards that people are submitting to us at each meeting. Just kind of included just some of the different comments they made, good, bad, otherwise. Let's see. Any questions about the community meetings? Questions on that? So the survey is next, and kind of tying it with the public meeting on their agenda. I have our community comprehensive plan update website. And what I've been doing when I start to talk about survey in the community meetings, the last couple I've thought to ask the crowd, show of hands, who has taken the survey. And at the time I wrote this, we had 65 people attended over all 3 meetings and 1 person raised their hand. So I've tried to use that as a good way to, have this group of people, captive audience in theory, right in front of me. Okay, nobody's raising their hand, look around, nobody's taking this. I'm really trying to get people to understand the importance of taking the survey, of providing their input. That this is their plan. It's not us standing up there telling them, here's what you need to do. We really want the information from them. And so at each of those meetings, I just made sure people are aware, here's where you can find the survey. We can give you a copy if you'd like one, all of that sort of stuff. And since we've been having the community meetings and I've, asked that question, kind of encouraged them to take it, the survey response number has gone up. So I think it's helped to kind of have that, somebody directly in front of you saying, please take the survey. So I'm going to keep doing that. Of course, we have, we've had 4, we have 7 more meetings scheduled over the next few weeks. So that's definitely going to be something I keep asking the crowd and then using that to encourage people to take the survey. So when I wrote this, we had 466 survey responses. I looked quickly before I came over this morning, and I believe we were at 474. So it's going up. So hopefully over these next few weeks, and we sent 250 more postcards to random addresses outside city limits in the last week or 2. So hopefully that's helping folks. And again, talking about it at community meetings and just really making people aware you really need to take the survey and tell all your friends, family, and neighbors. So this is just very, very important. So let's see. Just make sure cover that. And then in the in your report, and I can read them if you want, but another situation I literally just picked random comments throughout some of the responses I've gotten to some of the different questions within the survey online. And some of the general comments, and that's just what's included up there. So again, just a variety of little simple comments for you all to see. Some are longer, some are shorter. I just picked some for you to see. And then also some of the different demographics, again, just a sampling of what we're seeing so far. At this time when I wrote the report of the 466 respondents, as you can see, approximately 94% live in the county. A little more than 29% of those live in unincorporated Riley County. About 69% of the respondents have lived in the county for more than 11 years, which I think is really good. And then 78% own land. Age range with the most respondents, 35 to 44, with about 23.8%, followed by 45 to 54, 18%, 55 to 64, almost 18%. So taking away the one response I received from somebody under 18, which is fantastic. Happy to have it. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, the smallest response age range is the 18 to 24. So we'll have to maybe think of some ways to get them more excited to take a survey and give us some input, because it would really be good to have, it's the cross section of as many age ranges, as many folks who live here, who own property here, who work here, all of that different sort of stuff as possible. So, and then the last piece of demographics there. Just over 67% work full-time and approximately 19% are retired and 77.5% work in the county. So just some of the different demographics we're asking folks to kind of help organize some of the comments. Not that the comments, I should say that not that the comments specifically say, well, this person who said, I love Riley County, whatever it is in the 65 to 74 age range. I mean, it doesn't match up like that, but when you have your higher percentages per ranges, it kind of gives you an idea of who's saying what. So I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions on the survey?
If you want to get the 18 to 24 dynamic, you're going to have to hit social media. There's just no way of getting around it.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. And that is something that Vivian has been posting on our social media. Another thing we did recently, within the last couple of weeks, we asked, she kind of prepared a social media post, if you will, and we sent it out to everybody on the committee in the hopes that they might use their social media platforms, anything that we can get to help us, spread the word about the survey. So
you need to get with community relations at K-State too. That's a huge resource.
Okay. Yeah.
Cheryl Grice is probably who I'd reach out to.
Cheryl Grice. Thank you.
Somebody must be watching this morning because they emailed me and said, take paper copies to those meetings.
That's a fabulous idea. Thank you for whoever sent that. That is an excellent idea. Perfect. These are great suggestions. All right. So speaking of the committee, I have our list there of who is currently on the committee. There are a couple names that one of our committee members has provided to me that I need to reach out to follow up on to see if they are interested in being a part of the group. Of course, the intent behind the committee is to get as many different perspectives and representatives from organizations, from agencies, from different, different backgrounds, different perspectives all around the county and the region as possible. So I think we've recently added a couple farmers, ranchers, and again, as you can see in the list there, we have folks from a variety of different entities. So, but again, as I tell folks at the community meetings, still happy to take more. So. And then just a reminder of the subcommittee groups, the 6 of them there. As when I wrote this report, so each subcommittee has held at least 1 meeting. Some have done 2, and I have a couple that are scheduled for this week that are their 3rd meetings. So they're all doing really well, having great conversation, keeping up with their meetings. So I really appreciate all of their interest and participation. It's helped a lot. And it's going to help a lot. It's good having people with, again, those different perspectives, those different backgrounds to provide the input. So again, we can get this as well-rounded, if you will, as we can. So what each group is doing is reviewing the goals, objectives, and policies within Vision 2025. Anything that's existing relating to their category, if you will. Some of them, like economic development, health, things like that, we don't really address that in current Vision 2025. Just, things have changed a little bit in the last, several years since that plan was done. So there's not necessarily goals, objectives, and policies for every category or everything we're going to want to cover. So those groups have a little bit more work cut out for them because basically they have to create some, or asking them to create some or whatnot. They don't have existing ones to go off of. But again, we've already had a lot of really great conversation amongst those groups. So my thinking is hopefully they'll meet a couple more times through the remainder of the year, and then probably get the full committee back together early next year so we can start. The representatives from each subcommittee can provide their update to the main group, and we can have those conversations and hopefully narrow down some goal language a little bit. I am working on a worksheet to help the groups, to help each subcommittee kind of start thinking a little bit more specifically about goal language. Again, we don't have to have everything written and done, by any means within the next couple months, but definitely want them to start thinking about, okay, what are they thinking, or, kind of get some things down on paper and making sure amongst the groups they're in agreement, they're comfortable with that, and then we can start fashioning some language from there. So let's. I covered everything, and just at the very end, just a couple notes: the website address, email, and survey. And then I'll be back before you in November for another update. Should hopefully, so by November 27th, we'll have all of the rest of the community meetings. Depending on the number of survey responses we get, the survey might be done. We'll have to see, but I'll have a lot more to report back to you folks at that time. So, any questions or comments?
I think so.
Okay, thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, man. Next Commissioner, you have Clancy Holman at 10:10.
And
No. You can join in if you want. I don't think it's gonna be very entertaining for you.
It's not gonna talk to me.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. The warming up out there, Brittany.
It is.
Yeah. It got very cool last night. It was 68 last night. I'm still.
Yeah, all that rain, it was still trying to spit rain when I was driving back in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was surprising. I did not expect that.
It was storming around 3:00 this morning, and Henry woke up and was like looking out of the window. He's like, "What is that?" Because thunder, come back to sleep.
You're around here, you never know if it's thunder or Fort Riley.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gonna go on a limb and say, I think the coffee's gotten stronger now.
Well, this is probably strong because it's decaf, and so they jazz it up with any flavored decaf. It certainly smells differently, but
Did
that's
you hear
how it's
that?
in there.
What? You don't even have any caffeine in that coffee.
No. That's in there is caffeinated. This is decaf.
No, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we err on the side of more ground coffee in it than
I
less.
prefer darker as opposed to light for sure.
Yeah. This is supposed to be caramel. They all taste the same. They do smell different.
go pumpkins.
No, it just doesn't smell like it's got any caffeine in it, as far as I can tell.
Then it's not worth drinking, is it?
No, it's not. Probably not.
The memes are just going a wild. Almost there. I'm almost caught up with emails. Almost.
That's impossible.
Yeah, explain that to me. How does that happen?
You got to stay caught up on it.
Can't be done.
And you don't get anything else done.
That is true.
Decisions, John.
Well, I apparently do very bad. Right words.
It is true. Sometimes it's nice to actually do something rather than just read about doing something.
React.
You see the end of the Iowa Minnesota game?
Did not.
So the game ended 12-10 Minnesota. They hadn't beaten Iowa in like 12-13 years. Punt return. Guy from Iowa gets it. Zig, zags, boom, gone. So they go for two, don't get the 2-point conversion. So it's whatever it is, 16-12. Refs in the middle of that threw a flag. Didn't step out of bounds. There was no holding, no clipping, no blocking. They threw a flag because he inadvertently waved his hand like this. And they said that was an illegal call for a fair catch.
Yeah, so far I have.
Game ends. Now, I have no vested interest in the team, but yeah.
Never heard of that.
I mean, when you fair catch, you throw your arm this
Yeah.
way. You can clearly see he's waving his arm. He's pointing first at the block, you know, setting up the block, the way, the first stage of that wave. But his arm waves like this down below, and that same motion, but it's down below. And they said that was an illegal call for a fair catch.
Never heard of such a thing. That's too bad.
I'll look at it, yeah, okay.
So how good's Houston? I mean, both this Texas and OU game this weekend both showed that both are vulnerable and not as dominant as people once thought.
Well, Quinn Ayers is injured. He's got a sprain of the HC joint on his throwing hand. So he's out for 3 or 4 weeks. So that kind of changes the perplexity of your offense, particularly when they got a pretty good running game, but you know, they're kind of one-dimensional at this point.
Man, did you see the size of the one backup quarterback, and dude is huge. He throws a rocket.
Yeah, and I was thinking at first, I said, yeah, that's gonna work out good for us in a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden, I'm not so for sure.
That guy throws a rocket.
I think he's got the better arm of all three of them. Actually,
He is big.
actually, it's the third generation Manning in that equation. So,
And he's like, isn't he like a redshirt freshman?
think
so.
Yes.
His size is unreal.
It's still going to be a gauntlet.
I'd like to hear the chatter on all that, all the, hubbub about Manning, and here he's not even the 2 deep, let alone the starter.
Mhm.
I'm sure they're chattering.
He's getting all that NIL money, so he can just sit back and wait. He's actually probably making more than he would, NFL roster at the moment. I mean, seriously.
Mhm.
So he's not got much to complain about.
Well, that's the old Caleb Williams that said, he said, if I don't go to these 5 teams, I'll just stay and make more money. That's nuts. That's wrong. What's Houston's record?
Not very good. 3 and something, 3 and 5. I was looking at the Big 12 standings. How in the world is Iowa State 3 and 1?
Mhm. Oklahoma State's come around. Did they win this weekend?
No.
They did. Who did they play?
Oh, wait. West Virginia? Maybe they did win. Well, I haven't been paying attention, to be honest. This weekend was just so busy, I didn't get a chance to catch up on everything. I was too busy trying to keep up on my email.
Won't happen. About the time you're caught up, you pull it up next time, you're behind again.
It's true. It is a no-win. They're 3 and 4. No, Oklahoma State didn't win. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They
Beat West
well,
Virginia.
his biggest problem was he just needed to make a decision on a quarterback and not try and force feed his son in there.
Who's that?
Oklahoma State, Gundy.
I worry kind of down the road if you're not going to have to do the same thing.
Do what?
Make a decision on the quarterback.
Oh,
You may, but I
That was-
wasn't dissatisfied with
It
it
was.
this weekend.
But all it takes is one game where one or both don't do very well, and then you're back to square one. And the old adage, if you don't have a if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, but I think the difference here, and I think Fitz hit the nail on the head. Commissioner McKinley and I were talking, it's kind of like a running back situation. Both our running backs could be starters.
Yes.
So it's
Mhm.
working. Both our quarterbacks could be started. Typically, when you have that situation, neither one's really a starter. You're trying to make one of them, and you just can't. But on these two, either one could be.
hmm.
That's the difference, I think.
I think it kind of throws the other team off, seemed to.
Yeah, how would you like to be the defensive coordinator
Oh, yeah.
on the other side?
Yeah.
Our passing quarterback had more rushing yards than the running quarterback.
And I think that's the whole thing. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I just shut down the pass and I bring 8 or 9 men up into the box. And if I got speed on the outside, I'm concerned about either one that comes in. It does change it up, but it makes it so much more manageable for my defense. If we had a vertical passing game, I'd be a little bit worried. Yeah. But looks like maybe we found one guy.
Found one receiver. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where he came from. I don't know why we weren't thinking about it earlier, but wow.
Lord, it was really-
They assume Brown.
Brown.
Brown, yeah, Brown.
Who the heck is that?
Which one's it?
He's a true
Colin
freshman.
Klein mentioned
Is he
him
really?
2 weeks ago. People were saying, hey, is there any receivers we can bring up? And he said, yeah, first one comes to mind is Brown. He said that a couple of weeks ago in an interview.
There were 3 or 4 receivers in that class, and he was the lowest rated one of all those. But he's
Really good.
looks
Yeah.
like a lot, kind of small, fast guy with good hands.
Real good hands.
He
Holy cow.
gets a little
Yeah.
separation and has good hands.
I guess Senate was injured. He didn't play.
I noticed that.
Okay, it's time for Clancy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Clancy Holman, Riley County Councilor. I'm going to go off script just a little bit here and ask
for those dates in December that I described to you before for potential legislative comments. I know Commissioner Ford indicated in my separate conversation with him that the dates I threw out there, these are the following dates, all work for him. The 11th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th of December.
All of those worked up. Next thing, yeah, I didn't have a problem with any of
Well,
them.
he did send me an email. I apologize. It goes back to what we were talking about. I'm not caught up on email.
No, I
See,
didn't. I
see
didn't.
how important that is? See what you miss?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I could say I sent one. Just to
Yeah,
get it
yeah. I
out
mean,
there.
what do I know?
But it was on my list, but didn't ever get there.
I may not be good with either the 21st or the 28th. I'm not for sure. I know the 28th not.
Good. So now the 28th.
And I'm probably gonna guess that probably ain't gonna work, probably several of our legislators too, because they start
Too
getting,
close to
and
Christmas.
they start getting into those pre-legislative meetings, just throwing that out there.
I just think with
Is that-
family stuff, the 21st and 28th, you'll
Oh,
get less.
Legislative items, family,
21st
come on,
would
come
work,
on.
'cause that's a Thursday, so
I'm sorry.
21st is okay for me, but the 28th. probably not.
Okay. How about this? It's a compromise. I cross off the 28th.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to give them 3 dates to choose from.
Okay.
Better chance we'll get a majority of them here. So I will, with your permission, I will suggest those 3 dates and ask them, as I usually do, the first time I get a majority of the delegation to sign up, that's what we're going to do. Noon to 2, same format. We'll have a lunch and go that route. I've already advised department heads that because you have those 2 items, the LABTR restart potentially, and the unincorporated area nuisance abatement act are your primary focus this upcoming session. Then I don't know how many more additional items can be added. Nobody's approached me yet, but I encourage them to do so if they want. I just don't know if there's anything else from one of the department heads associations that they would like.
I think we need to talk about SCR 1611. We need to at least, I mean, have a discussion, at least
Sure.
try to get some idea where our legislators are on that.
Sure.
Which one is?
I can add it. That's the
Evaluation cap for,
Oh, yeah, that's,
even if KAC still was tossing back and forth on it at that point.
yeah, have they even had their final legislative?
I don't believe they
I
are.
didn't see
I'm
one, but
I'm gonna assume they're just gonna punt it and stay neutral on it.
I would think just one county asking for it, maybe 2. I don't know why they would, but I don't know why they. would
Both counties are actually, if they support it, apparently they're gonna jump ship. That's what I'm hearing through the grapevine.
And I know one had said that.
I don't know on that, but they tend to, if there's that much dialogue and that much apprehension, they tend to just stay neutral. And maybe that's a smart way to go.
Well, normally, yeah, if there's not unanimity among counties, normally they don't take a position. And there is no unanimity among counties in favor of that position. So
okay, so Clancy, you have the 11th, 14th, and the 21st, correct?
11, 14, 21st is what I'm gonna throw out there to the delegation. And hopefully it's that majority of them will be available on one of those dates, and I'll get back to you as soon as I know. Project list, it's been updated the last reporting period. Anything obviously in bold and or new entries. If you have any questions about anything in particular. I also carried out quite a bit of information based on the start. You asked me to be in 6-month intervals, so I had a few items on that. Beyond that. Exactly, this is what we want. Now, some of them I leave in, even though they're not within the 6 months, if it's something that we need history on. Somebody's
Continue problem.
context on some of the other later entries, but I try not to abuse that. All right, if you don't have any questions on the project list, then that's all I have today. Very much.
Thank you, Clancy. Next, Commissioner, we have Brittany at 10:30 on CIP work session.
And
You return.
And then what we just want to make sure we understand how this process works.
It's loads of fun. The only thing you need to remember is that John's department has all the money.
Department should get on. That's what you need to be. There's a question. It comes to me.
Honestly, all the vehicles that should handle through John's department, that was just making.
Well, I'm sure he'd be thrilled with that.
You would know best when they need to be replaced, when it's time to cycle.
We look at them. We should know that.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of. Pretty old.
Yeah. Or wise. Yeah. It's very. Oh. Yeah. We have one thing.
Good meeting. I don't even know. No, it's right here. It's a busy weekend. Now that I've heard. I don't want to see it. Where we at? Oh, cool. Your voices a little bit high. So I saw now. So yeah, so all beers. Yeah, we're dying. Yeah, you guys, it's not anything you say, and she probably something that they see and say, oh, get close to you. It's the one I know just solve it. Yeah.
That's done.
Yeah. Things support things that I can do it, but not. People have what we're, it's, and we could, I think like 3 o'clock. This, that's. So.
But I like that one. Kind of things. I like going there for.
Yeah, I've done that before. We did. Yeah. We took something. So there's 2 hours longer. She's not.
Oh. Right. So the 3 of them out there. Just. So you get.
Office job. Man, you don't think it was right.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I think what was just. Yeah. It is. Absolutely. Got it. neighbors, will require. Required. This country.
Ouch. How do you spell that? ADAMS. Both start with the same letter.
How about that on the corrections? $8 I mean, what they do with that law. YouTube for that.
It had to be because I can't hear. So
You're still gonna be in my office at 1 o'clock, right?
I walked right into that.
too soon, David.
You want something?
Yes, I do. And don't we forget it. There's yeah, that's a kid. Absolutely, we would. Absolutely. You know. Thank you very much.
Hard to get everything done, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I had to get hold of it. It's so frustrating. Put everything together and missing.
That would have been because about that time you're excited to try it.
Oh, yeah. My friends are going, oh, come back. Took all three.
Especially when you gathered all the help too to do it.
Yeah, it took three of us. And
And then dealing with customer service and some of that stuff sometimes. It's
pretty easy, but just waiting in line.
Oh, it's better than having a stack of parts.
And not knowing what they are.
yeah. I thought you was gonna say something like that. And then sometimes, stuff's all, mail order and stuff, big things. And we were doing my daughter's house, had a vanity. And it was a cheap vanity and the top came cracked, broken in half. And so instead of for the company just sending a top, they sent a whole vanity with the whole top and everything. And I didn't want the other one back.
Yeah.
It's all one box.
Yeah.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Well, these guys wanted me to send the whole thing back. I said, it weighs 200 pounds. How am I supposed to get it back to you?
I gotta take it apart.
Yeah, and they weren't going to come pick it up. I said, yeah, okay, well, keep it. We'll see what happens.
Ready for Brittany, commissioners?
Yeah.
Commissioners.
Good morning, Ms. Brittany Phillips, Budget and Finance Officer. Today, we're going to go over our CIP projects. I believe this is actually maybe the first work session for 2023. So our beginning cash balance for 2023 was $8,026,215. With interest and budgets, general fund transfers, our total resources were $15,049,355. Minus expenditures, actual and estimated debt payments, and our cash reserves for other projects. Our estimated cash balance is $7,244,004. This is all based on information as of September 30th. And these are our reserved funds So you can see then we have CIP for 500,000, fair reserve, FFB money, hardware refresh for emergency management, and then of course our CARES funds that have been allocated to other projects. We've also made our bond payments and have also made our payments for the radio infrastructure project. So here is a total list of our requests that departments have. So EMS has 3 projects totaling $305,537. Parks has 2 projects for $147,000. Public Works has 5 projects for $555,000. Clerks, which is the election renovation upstairs, has $650,000. Carnegie Hall has $125,000. Health Department $75,000. And then emergency management, $85,000, and LEC, $400,000, bringing our total projects requested to $2,342,537.
Yeah, have some of those funds have been expended already, right? Are these ones?
These
that
are
haven't
new.
been?
Yeah, these are new requests.
Well, what's the LEC for RCPD? What is that?
The roof.
That is the roof.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the roof?
Mhm.
What does that stand for? LEC.
Law Enforcement Center,
Ah,
that's what
I
it
don't
is.
like acronyms, you know. I couldn't figure it out. So that's the roof,
Yes.
because there was software in there somewhere. I thought maybe that was it.
Yeah, we software is part of the projects that we still have estimated to remain coming out. So we've already subtracted that balance out.
But upon the reserves,
Yes.
the FFE reserve, what's that for?
So that's the federal fund exchange that we do for public works. So that's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're paid out money.
Oh, okay.
You're like that one. I am.
Well, it's FFE on the construction project. It's.
It is, like furniture, fixtures and equipment.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at it. I went, oh, that's right.
That's true. John's never really clarified.
Yeah,
Finance for.
we're gonna be building some things. I don't know.
So I didn't know if you wanted me to go through each project one by one, or if you wanted, how you wanted to talk about them. But if you approved all of them, sorry, the remaining budget authority for 2023 as of September 30th, not 31st. After subtracting remaining project balances is $4,197,551.
Well, the clerk, have we expended some of that 650,000?
No, that's for that new project upstairs. We haven't spent anything yet. Today was the
That's
first
a new one?
day.
Okay,
That was the first day for the $10,000 for the study, so that'd be part of that.
okay. I thought
Going
maybe
after
that
other
was-
funds, so we don't have to use that.
Well, we're hoping,
Right.
no guarantee, but yeah, we are hoping. That's an $800,000 submittal we put in Secretary of State's for that grant. There's, you have to understand, like any of those projects, we'll have to pay it up front and then get reimbursed because it's based on actual expenditures and receipts. And so it has to be approved and expended first, and then we'd get the money back and then put it back into CIP for whichever part we get. We will get some, how much, I don't know.
When's the date on that? Do you know when they?
They had to be in by the 20th, and they should send us an email and say, everything looks good for us to consider it further, or we need more information. We haven't received that. We did get confirmation that they had received the request.
When is the date they'll be sending or making the decision, or do they have that yet?
No, they do not. They have not said when they will announce who gets what.
So, emergency management, they only have one request, for an outdoor warning siren upgrade. That's $85,000. Parks, go ahead.
Is that to replace the one that apparently isn't working now?
Not necessary, that's,
Oh, okay.
I can briefly explain if you'd like me to. Zookeeper change, but so right now on the I think it's the 9 sirens that the county owns and is responsible for. We don't have two-way communication with them. We can only send out a radio signal and activate it. This would allow us to have two-way communication. It would upgrade 4 of the 9 sirens so that they have the two-way communication capable. 6 of the sirens already have the capability on the siren side, but from dispatch, those sirens can't talk back to us and tell us, hey, something went wrong with the tablet, it didn't work. Hey, the power's out. Hey, somebody opened the cabinet door and is messing with me. We don't have that two-way communication right now, and that would upgrade 4 of the sirens to put the two-way communication equipment at the siren, which 5 of them already have, I believe, and then provide the two-way communication piece at dispatch so that we can hear the siren.
So you know whether it went off, what part of that speed correctly went off.
So right now, when we do the siren tests, Lori has observers go out, and some of our observers haven't been as reliable as they have in the past. And so there are times when we go 2 or 3 months and nobody's observed the siren because they don't report back to us. And so, you know, the siren could theoretically not be working for a couple of months because either whoever it is, the city clerk or the janitor at the school or whoever's close to that siren didn't walk outside and listen that day. So, any other questions?
Parks, Public Works, LAC, Carnegie are all submissions from John Ellerman. So for Parks, he has the mower and playground equipment. Public Works wants dump trucks, another 550 truck with plow and spreader, a hydraulic trailer, tandem axle truck with plow and spreader. And then, of course, we discussed the replacement of the roof for LEC, and then Carnegie Hall and Health Department are modernize elevators and update the boiler. So if you would like to discuss further on those, I have Mr. Ellerman here.
Oh, on that park equipment, that's for Seco, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We've had that on the list for a long time. Do we want to keep it on the list because
That was their,
We've already invested money in that, though.
got about 225,000 that's been invested through doing that was to build up funds to replace the playground equipment.
Oh, okay, so this has been an ongoing.
Yes, and it's been hit or miss the last 3 years of whether it got funded or not.
So this, excuse me, just add more to whatever that reserve is.
The top 2 are dump truck beds. We do have a couple of trucks that the beds are wore out, their old belt, dump beds. So there's a belt in there that pushes the material out. They're unreliable. They don't get work. So that's in your report thing. But we think we can replace the box for 70,000 instead of the whole truck. And there's 2 of them out there that we're asking.
It's not cheap, but that's cheap.
On the Seco Park, has there been any money allocated for the bathroom updates over there? Because they're in pretty bad shape.
Bad shape, I think
There is no money.
we've replaced,
Oh, my
but we have not replaced.
We're not going to replace anything there. Okay.
No, that's been,
Unless we get direction from the commission.
Well, I was just curious because going in there is.
I've seen worse public restrooms than that.
Well, yeah.
the only thing that's been desired in the bathrooms since I've been here is air conditioning.
Mhm.
And now I'm kind of refused to put I've been reluctant to spend that kind of money. on
Yeah.
Air conditioner and factory, but
Well,
there's other issues that could, it should be, but we have yet to look at, we're looking at the floor and some of the wall issues that we have out there. But nothing in the restaurant. We replace parts and pieces.
yeah, okay.
And then for EMS, we have station alerting, patient mover replacement, and a cardiac monitor. And David can answer any questions if the commissioners have any.
What is, can you give an explanation of what station alerting?
The station alerting is upgrading the radio system that alerts our stations of calls. So the city has put in the backbone in dispatch and have put it in all of their fire stations, or they're implementing it. And so it will be implemented in a couple of our stations, but we're just asking to implement it in all of our stations so we're consistent across the board. Because what happens is our staff carry pagers on their hips, and when you get into the buildings, they are not probably reliable. So what we're finding our staff doing is they're taking the pager off their hip and putting it in the window, so they know that it'll call will trip the pager. So this puts a control box on the wall, antenna, and then it alerts everybody. It comes over the speakers. You can have some that'll have like strobe lights in the hallways for nighttime. So that's what we're asking for. It's going to be in two of our stations already, but Leonardville, the headquarters, and then the public works station is one where I've seen them put their pagers in the window. It's just, I mean,
In a metal building, they're not going to get.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And, so it's, the radio system is a huge upgrade of what we have, but there are still deficiencies with it.
Okay, good. And you said we do have that system, the new.
No, we did not put it in any of our stations yet, because I didn't.
Well, I said you have it in two.
We do, it's gonna be in two. It's gonna be in 11 points, the city fire station, and then the airport.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be in those two, but we haven't done it for any of the county-owned buildings.
Okay, totally. But you wouldn't, I mean, I assume you aren't looking at putting it on headquarters stations if we're going to do one.
This would be for the new building, not the existing.
Okay.
Yep.
That wasn't included in the new building already?
No, we just got this information 3 months ago.
Oh, okay.
So when we started working on the headquarters, we didn't have all of that initial, so that's built into this cost. So this cost is for the headquarters station, the public works station, and then the Leonardville station.
Okay.
And then the patient movers, one is our old UTV that we use at events. I've had this on there for the last couple of years. It's 20 years old. It's falling apart. Every game it breaks down. The second game of the year, it quit working. The first game of the year quit working because the fuses fell out. That literally fell out. And then the second game, it quit working because the rubber hose in the fuel tank literally rotted off. So they took a vacuum hose off the engine and got it into the gas tank so that it would pump gas so they could use it. I mean, it's got a carburetor. It doesn't have power steering. It's 20 years old and it's time for it to be replaced.
And then the cardiac.
The cardiac monitor. So we give them a total life of 10 years. So they say 6 to 7 years on a first out truck. We keep them on 6 and we rotate them through. And this is one, it's 10 or 11 years old. And when they get that old, they don't service them and near as much. So they can do preventative maintenance. But if there's like a motherboard goes out or something like electronic goes out, then they just don't have them. So if you get much longer than this, we're gonna be going to eBay trying to buy pieces for a cardiac monitor that is used for patient care. So
Thanks, David.
Commissioners have any other questions?
The LEC roof, is that,
It's, I believe that roof is original to the
no, there's no relation,
so yes, it's probably due to replace. I think, and that was their top priority dollar.
I just remind the board of what I updated earlier, and Brittany, you weren't here, but with that fourth floor, you know, the part that Bruce is gonna have the structural do, you know, John, when he said he would like to feel comfortable that he has $100,000 available to do something if it's needed done. We don't know what needs done other than patching the roof for sure, but we'll need some money for that. And of course, we just found this out on Wednesday or Thursday. So there is no CIP fund request for that 100,000, but at that point in time, the money will have to be somewhere, and he does not have it in county building. So just to
that's
keep
not
that,
in this number.
it's not. And I know the commissioners, of course, in the back of your mind is the EMS ambulance headquarters. How much do we have in the disaster funds still available? The ARPA monies, it's about 14 million.
Yeah.
So roughly 14 million. Remember that 1.89 that we have reserved is for that. So almost 2 million more for whatever we go over in that is there. So that give the commissioners some comfort.
As the North County ambulance come out of the ARPA funds. So that hasn't, and still got 14 in it.
Yep.
Paying that stuff.
Yep.
But all of it hadn't been paid out.
Right. We still got the ambulance expense, I believe, still to come out of there.
That last update. Still got about $500,000 left. This last update you said.
yeah, we're still waiting on the ambulance that will come out.
Well, and there's some other that we have, and from Anderson night, there's. So she showed out the, I don't know, 1.5 million. What's this, 516,000, I guess, yeah.
They're just little things I wanted to remind the board about when you're thinking of everything.
But that's what that appears, plus that 14 and that. Of course, we don't have construction estimates have been paid.
Yeah, that's the fear, you know, for sure.
That's what I was looking at.
These estimates are way low on that. I'm just gonna say it.
With the, well, I got the last one I gave, it has a range of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. We're close. So far, we're okay, but
Mhm.
the numbers are insane right now.
Commissioners, Corey just reminded me with the station alerting, that also allows us to tie those stations into our phone systems, to our county phone system, which we don't have that capability right now.
Oh.
So it allows for paging and such to the phone systems.
We won't be using the pagers anymore then. If it's
Not near as often, the crews, not near as often as they will, because they'll have it through the system, and they'll have the radios in the trucks.
And on their phones too.
I'll still have mine, Josh will still have his. We'll have some for spares if we need to for whatever reason. But yes, the idea is to get rid of the vast majority of them.
And that'll save, will that save us some money to replace something?
Yeah, absolutely. We won't have to be replacing them every.
Replacing them is,
And then the batteries and there's always things we're replacing. Antennas are something that we replace fairly frequently. But yeah, I mean, we've got 2025, we're gonna be at 6 years, so that's the time to start replacing all the batteries and and such. So, yeah, pagers, that cost adds up.
Yeah, I was thinking that we'd save some money
Yeah,
there too.
absolutely.
If it's going to do all.
The idea is you don't need to have a pager in your station.
Right.
That's absolutely. Yep.
Okay. We'll save them there.
There any more questions?
These elevator modernizations, that's just to keep them up to speed so they can be fixed in the future. Is that
Yes.
correct? Because I know replacing them is a lot more than that. But this puts in the parts that you can update. Is that correct?
Right, some of them are getting to the place where there's no parts available or very rare. This will replace those parts and update some electronics on.
Yeah, we just had that at our church, so I mean,
Expensive.
updates don't always work as well.
And good, once you kind of got a plan to go through all of our buildings. eventually. I mean, there's two of them here, Carnegie and Health Department.
I know the one in this building,
Or
or
here.
the other building was on this list at some point in time.
Yeah, we had like courthouse, FCRC. Yeah, so there's another couple in the next few years, there's another elevator.
Yeah, keep rotating through them. Get a couple this year to get them all updated.
We've. Yeah, okay.
Carnegie boiler. Anything else? Let's see.
What's the time frame are we looking at on equipment?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say, John, I know that last truck took a decade or something like that. What's telling me right now?
I mean, if it's gonna be way out, I'm probably gonna say no on those because I think we need to look at it a different way.
I think the boxes we can get fairly ready for.
That's
No.
got you on that.
The truck that's on the bottom is our number 5, so we're kind of not expecting you to say that's good. But would appreciate it if you did. I'm still.
That's not gonna happen.
That's quite the sales pitch.
Feeling generous, I'm being, but I'm still guessing they're 2 years now.
Yeah.
Year and a half. The only problem with you saying no is that pushes that out that much longer before we get replaced. And as the last time we had it, we were
We had a couple of
bandaging
them.
together to keep it running through school. It's sat until we absolutely need it. That, yeah, I mean, that's the only downside of putting them off is it's that salt does the damage. It's not just to the looks on the outside, but electronics and brains. So it starts making them unsafe to drive. We realize where you were, and that's why we prioritize some things. We can get 2 good trucks. You keep them good and with cost. $550 truck, yeah, that's a dealer item, not KDOT's not come out with their say contracts, trying to get it, and if they'd even be trucks on it.
We're on that playground for Seco, you said we have some set aside for that already?
Set aside three of the 200.
But they aren't on that reserve fund.
So I think they're included in the CIP project list already, if I remember correctly. So they are, sorry, scroll to. So they should be included in the project expenditures, actual and estimated, because we have that.
Included in the estimate. Oh, okay, that's what I just wondered what they were.
Yes, yeah, they've been approved in the past, so they're sitting on our CIP approved project list.
Well. Seen a lot of change.
But we put anything, we decided what we went on Seco. Maybe we have to do something like this.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know if we're gonna move it or anything like that. I guess we would move it.
Plus, that's what we move.
Yeah.
Get rid of what's there.
Same with it, even if you move it, demolish it, whatever the plan is, it's gonna take money to do it. Yeah. And you're not gonna work around that one. So I don't think we have a large fund to do that at this point in time, so. Are we at least here, at least you're earmarking funds for that, whether it goes to playground equipment at this point in time, I can decide later, but.
Yeah.
Probably gonna have to leave that in just for that, because. It's a big deal now, apparently.
Is it?
Yeah. So,
Oh, really?
oh, yeah, yeah, it's a big deal now.
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, you will.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of the trucks, I get where you're coming from, John, but I feel like we're just being held hostage on these. And that I know you're shaking your head, but at some point in time, there's gotta be a different way. And I've talked to several of the people in the auto dealership here, and they're well aware of that. And they're trying to work on some things that may alleviate bits and pieces of that too. I don't know if it'll be successful on that or not, but those prices, they're going to go up another 10% by the time we get to them. And I feel like they're doing that intentionally. So it's not that I don't think that you need them or deserve them. It's just I'm taking real issue with that. And that's, they know, those dollars are there and available and they can take full advantage of it. So I toss and turn on that. Yeah, the roof at the LEC Center. You're gonna have to do that one if we continue to. I haven't put it off, but if we do put it off, that's just going to become more expensive too. And I'm not so for sure that that's the right cost on that one. And we've estimated it that.
That was 6-8 months.
Yeah. So we'll be coming back on that one or taking it out of the building next year. And I'm gonna be honest, I've got some reservations about the 4th floor renovations at this point in time too, just for the record, but that can be discussed along the way too.
Waits on it, depends on the grant too.
Well, the thing is, we're in the process of spending money before then. I mean, even when we get that $10,000 bill, we're gonna have some money to pay, and he doesn't have it in county building.
Well, right now, are we gonna know what an actual cost range is gonna be on that between now and a potential early 24 CIP session?
Oh, yeah, did Bruce say his timeline? I'm getting.
No, but he's on that pretty fast track. So I'm imagining about less than a month.
Yeah, I would imagine. Okay. Bruce is on a fast track on this. He understands.
He's got to design it, Like with windows and all the roof stuff and all those things, and is that?
This is the final design.
Not the final, it'll give us a rough
Contract,
estimate.
this is a plan.
Just an idea.
Yep.
Okay, so my second question then is, we maybe cut that one in half at the moment and work through the beginning of next year when we know what those numbers are, because you're not going to start construction on it right away.
Yeah, you can on that. What I would say though, the first part that'll have to get done probably is the structural and roof.
Sure.
And that's separate from this request.
Right.
That's the additional $100,000 request we're asking for. So I'd say, you know, half of this and $100,000 for whatever John needs to do structurally. But yeah, that'd be fine. And of course, if we don't go forward, we won't spend any of it.
Right.
You know.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Basically, to get started on this project without finishing it entirely through right now, because we will get into next year on that, and then we can figure out the specific pieces on that, grant or no grant. What do we need just to get started on it up front?
Well, we need
650,000.
We need the 100,000 is be a new
Okay.
request, because that isn't what this
Gotcha.
request is, 100,000 for that. And yeah, I mean, half of this 650 or
So if we went 350,000 just on this request, and then
mhm.
as we develop what those specific numbers on, we can add on to it. Okay, let's do
Isn't
that.
that supposed to be done by February of 24 though?
No, July 1st. Yeah.
July, I thought I saw February. So.
That was in the application process,
Oh, okay.
but it did say, remember that it says, based on, you know, whatever the situation is, they can adjust that. So this one, we would have to get an adjusted date from them.
So is that going to work with your election cycle?
That's as late as we can get it done. That's as late as we can get it done, but that's only realistic construction wise too. He says it's 6 months to get it, and he says that's hammering it out. And so that's why Bruce is on the fast track on it.
So we're gonna have to come up with that, with the money.
Well, you'll have the money in CIP if it's, mhm.
Hopefully we'll get some sort of grant.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I know we'll get some. How much? I would not try to lead you any which way. Yeah, I would not.
I say, let's start with
We've got
350,000.
more ready CIP for next year.
Oh, yeah, we have transfers in
The one
2024 for CIP.
isn't in this, aren't in these numbers, right?
Correct. It is not. And then also, as you know, the end of the year, you know, we'll have unused expenditures and revenues come in higher, and we'll have the commission will get to decide what to do with that. And typically we've transferred it to CIP on top of the regular budgeted transfer.
So you want to cut that, John, you want to cut that fourth floor in half?
Well, I was going to say 350 at this point in time. It's a little over half,
Yeah.
or a little less
That's
than
to cover
half.
some of the structural
Yeah.
and some of this.
Right. That takes care of the large part of the upfront cost. And then as we get into what the specifics are, then we can fill the rest of it in. And if we get grant dollars, then we can take that into
Take
mind,
that out of there.
come up with the specific amount instead of just kind of trying to outright the entire thing right now. And we'll have another CIP session late February, early March, somewhere in that time frame, right, in the first quarter.
We probably have one, probably beginning of January.
Perfect.
Okay, I can go with that. If you want 350 is what you want to cut that to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd like to maybe, which one of those trucks are the most important, John?
What's that?
Which one of those two trucks are the most important to get on the list?
Yeah, either one's the same.
Okay,
Now you put one out, we'll put a box on the work truck.
okay. So we're gonna go with the cheaper one. That's how that's gonna work. So we can start seeing maybe how that works. Maybe if the time frame shortens up on them a little bit, and
You said the cheaper one, so,
the 550.
okay, yeah, that was we put them on the order we've been
Okay.
seeing.
Okay.
The dump beds and then the 550 truck.
Okay. Let's do that one. I'll leave the other one off for now. It gives us an indication of how those trucks are working, and if it time frame starts shortening up, and I don't feel like we're being taken hostage on it, we can,
So the 550 is more of a heavy duty pickup.
yeah.
Okay.
And overall, you have probably more usage for that when it's not being used for salt and snow potentially too, or no? Right.
Do we have consensus on that?
Where is the 550? I'm sorry, I can't follow.
It's under three.
Gentlemen,
It's
120 right there.
Oh, okay, I see.
As far as the rest of it, we really haven't spent any CIP this year. We haven't even had a session, so that brings it down well under $2 million. I think that's being pretty fiscal, and whatever we have left, we can kind of, I don't want to say earmark it, but we can kind of leave it in there for, keep in mind, that's not just the headquarters, but we've got Keats projects, the University Park project that we still really don't have funds for just yet.
Well, University Park's getting taken care of the grants.
Okay.
Well, we've allocated 800,000 to Keats if we can ever get off dead center on Keats at some point.
Yeah.
And also after the first of the year, after the first year, we'll have numbers on the EMS headquarters. You make sure we've got it covered, whatever the budget is, to see.
And to be honest,
I know we've been kind of holding back just to see how those go.
you keep in mind, we've talked about a space and needs study. There's going to be a cost to that. It's going to come out of CIP. And that's not going to be outrageous. I don't know, $60,000, I'm assuming, maybe.
And remember, based on available cash, not budget, but available cash, if you approved everything, and I'm not suggesting you do, or I know you're not going to, you would still have just under 5 million still left in available cash. So that's without next year's transfer and the end of year monies as well.
Okay. That's where I'm landing.
Can you kind of reiterate what you think they want to approve at this point, see if we get consensus?
Yeah, okay, so I just want to make sure, because I didn't hear the beginning part of what you said when you started
Oh, okay.
just a little bit ago. So I have fourth floor renovations for $350,000, the public works 550 truck, that's 120. And then you started saying something and I didn't.
0 on the tandem axle, so you can take the 250,000 off of that.
But everything else
Everything else is to go.
Okay, so you approved everything else. So emergency management, park, LEC roof, the elevators, boiler, and then all of the EMS for bus.
Correct.
Yes,
The structural for this building.
you said that would,
he was saying including in that.
Oh, that 350 includes that?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to be sure John and I are clear.
The roof is part of that 350.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You're going to include that on the front half of that 350, and then whatever we need on the back half, we'll have specific numbers for.
Yep.
And we can fit that in on the back.
Sounds good. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay, so I think I need a motion to approve those items.
Are we all consensus on that
I'm
first?
consensus, yeah.
Okay, then what I'll do then is I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the CIP, I guess now approved projects as listed and discussed.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded that we approve the CIP projects as discussed and agreed to. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate it. It is past time for Mr. Snooki.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, commissioners. Back to bring up what you tabled previously about the admin 2 position. Rich and I and Elizabeth had an opportunity to discuss, and I think we're all on the same page. And I've discussed with you previously. I don't know if you have any questions in particular.
You came to an agreement with HR and everything. So good.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was the only issue that we had was that they all coordinated, it worked out. Right.
Coordinated, yeah.
I think it brings up, I think this whole thing brings up an interesting question, though, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot here, but I've mentioned it several times and I'm really going to start mentioning it, but in terms of how we look at personnel, whether changes or just what we have, it's something that we're really going to have to start to take a look at just internally moving forward. And It's not necessarily because of a tax or cost savings mechanism, although I guess it probably does a little bit of that too, but everybody's going to struggle with this. Listening to Dr. Stewart speak on Thursday afternoon, we could see anywhere from a 12 to 30% drop in just what's going to be available in the labor force, depending on mechanisms of how my generation retires and what's available there. It's going to hit everybody. I don't think we're prepared for that moving forward. And I think it's something that we've got to start steering into. How we classify, how from top to bottom, how that works.
That's what, isn't that what we did when we did the?
Now we just restructured how we were doing things, but we're gonna have to scale back at some point in time, incrementally. We just can't keep growing this. We're just gonna be fighting ourselves longer term. There's some things in place I think that will help along the way, but if we don't start looking at it, it's gonna become problematic in 3 to 5 years. I think the good news is you look post pandemic now, and our live birth rates are starting to kind of rise again, but it takes years for that to catch back up. And yeah, exactly. All right. I hope that should never be part of the consideration period, but there's going to be a gap, and it's coming in about the next maybe 3 to 5 years, certainly in the next 5 to 8, where there's going to be a huge void, and it's going to hit across all broad lines, private and public. And I'd like to see us start preparing for that. I just do. I hope everybody else is going to want that too. So
How do you prepare for something you don't know about? I mean, we have no idea what's going to happen.
well, you don't keep growing the engine. That's
Well,
the first thing that you have to do.
We have to have our needs met.
You have that, and that's why you have to sit down and strategically plan for that and in advance, and not wait till it just punches you in the face. I've seen it across the board. I saw something interesting on the way home from Kansas City, KTA, the Turnpike Association. All that's becoming automated. There's not going to be people involved in that at all. So if you go, you get a ticket, use the K tag. When you come back, you're self-paying. I've mentioned it with grocery stores, Dillon's, IV, Walmart.
Yeah.
They're seeing it. Other places are seeing that. We've got to prepare for that. So, here, I guess overall, this is fine, but I'm just using this as an opportunity once again. It's going to be a top priority of mine moving forward. I'm not going to budge on it. I'm just going to tell everybody that in advance.
Well, that's, it's me, one of the guys at the employee day. That was his whole thing, saying there's just not people out there.
I believe we've got good people here already, and we just really going to have to invest in them and really see what that's all about. And that can be done.
Part of this is structuring the position correctly to what she does.
Yeah.
And that's just where we had to go with it.
And I tossed back and forth on it, and I landed on that. And it's a good, like I said, I'm putting you on the spot, but it's a good example of what we've got to discuss and what we've got to work through. And it's going to be tough and it's going to be painful, but for the betterment of Riley County and the citizens that we serve, we're going to have to do it. We just are. So this is something we'll talk about, I guess, next month and moving forward. But I wanted to take this opportunity to put that plug in there. So we're moving the wheel, if ever, but at least slowly and incrementally. So.
Okay, well, can we have a motion on this particular request?
Yeah. Go ahead and move that we reclassify the current administrative 1 position to administrative 2 position in the Riley County Fire District number 1.
Well, second.
So moved and seconded to approve the position description for the RCFD number 1 administrative assistant 2 and reclassifying it to a 1. Oh, no, that's wrong. So moved and seconded as stated. All in favor? Aye.
All 3 signed, please.
Commissioners.
Okay.
I get it. You available? Okay.
Not having executive section. So that
Correct.
So it's a business, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We've got one other item. I'll try to
Okay.
make it fast. It deals with the whole Genesis contract once again.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned what I mentioned earlier about that, but I think maybe a letter, if we're all on board with this, I think a letter maybe both to our CPD and to the law board, kind of stating our ideas that maybe we'd like to see that contract stay with a local group instead of, I don't know how you would draft that necessarily, Clancy, but basically stay in that, it would be or prefer that contract for those services to stay with the local entity. You're drafting an RFQ, whatever it is, that those local dollars should stay local and be to the local group. That makes sense.
I'll bring it back. So
Okay.
look
If they're on board with that too, signed by us.
Well, yeah, if we can get, one of the problems with swimming pool, you know, local groups don't have swimming pool.
That's not pertaining to RCPD.
They don't use that.
In the weight room.
Yeah.
Just
It's
wait.
basically for training for specific parts of Kalia.
Oh,
And they're going back to look to see if that's even necessary at this point in time now too, or there's another way to obtain that. So that's not, yeah.
okay.
But regardless, then looking at it, you want to just look at the draft.
Yeah. If that's okay. Okay,
Yeah, it's fine.
that's all I've got.
I'd rather say it local.
Nothing else. Go ahead and make a motion that we make a motion to favor. I guess we that's the board of county commission for that.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting of the Board of Brown County Commission for October 23rd. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, done about October.
You good, everyone have a good week.